January 6th is being used as an excuse to curtail the First Amendment freedoms of every Republican and conservative and Biden opponent in the country. One of the big lies that they're pushing against Trump is Jack Smith, in another active prosecutorial abuse, came out during his statement related to his January 6th election prosecution of Trump and suggested Trump was responsible for violence on January 6th. A completely political statement, had nothing to do with his indictment. He wasn't indicted for causing violence. And as I've been saying since January 6th happened, January 6th is being used as an excuse to curtail the First Amendment freedoms of every Republican and conservative and Biden opponent in the country. Okay? And we see that most directly now with the targeting of President Trump, the indictment of Trump, and the suggestion that anyone who disputes an election should go to jail or should worry about going to jail. But again, Judicial Watch doesn't slow down one iota. And one of the big issues here is that Congress has been hiding documents about what happened on January 6th. You had the former police chief, for instance, of the Capitol Hill Police just, I think he said this before, but he said it again to Tucker Carlson on Twitter, that he understood that Speaker Pelosi, acting through her appointee on the board that manages the Capitol Police, refused to, for 71 minutes, take action to protect the Capitol as it was coming under siege as a result of that disturbance on January 6th. The reason there was no security on Capitol Hill was Nancy Pelosi, and in part Mitch McConnell, because Mitch McConnell was responsible on the Senate side and participated in this. But practically speaking, Nancy Pelosi and the Speaker of the House is the mayor when it comes to the management of the Capitol Hill complex. And other issues as it relates to that are, obviously, where are all the videos? Now, Speaker McCarthy, to his credit, has allowed certain videos to come out and given access to some reporters and litigants, but they still refuse to, under law, make these videos widely available to the American people. And similarly, there are emails that no one has seen out of the Capitol Police. Who were they talking to about and what on January 6th? Why can't we see the emails? Why is Nancy Pelosi being protected? Because, of course, as I said, she should be the target of an investigation related to January 6th. So what Judicial Watch did was we sued for these January 6th videos and emails. And Congress is not covered by the Freedom of Information Act. The Freedom of Information Act only applies to the executive agencies of the executive branch, not even to the White House, just to the executive agencies. It also doesn't apply to the judiciary, and it certainly doesn't apply to Congress. But there is a common law right to public access to government records that does apply to Congress and does apply to other government officials, even if FOIA doesn't. And we sued under that law, that common law. And we sued the U.S. House of Representatives, the U.S. Capitol Police, in federal court for the January 6 videos and these emails. Now, the reports have been there are 14,000 hours of videos, and the government told us that there's 270 plus emails available, or at least initially found in response to our request. But they haven't told us what the emails are or anything like that. They think we don't have any right to them. And they're making three arguments. They're not public records. Even if they are public records, they're not important enough to be released. So all those January 6 videos, all those emails on January 6th that Congress created during this security crisis for the Capitol, they're not important for the public. They're trying to jail Trump. They want to jail, they're jailing thousands of Americans, practically speaking, right? They're well over 1,000 now in terms of prosecutions or investigations for people involved in that disturbance. And the emails about how the police were set up and what happened, that's not important to the public. Plus, they're also asserting sovereign immunity. Now, what is sovereign immunity? Well, it's as bad as it sounds in this context. They're saying that because Congress hasn't created a right to sue them, there is no right to sue them under sovereign immunity. They're the sovereign, and you just can't sue them willy-nilly unless there's a pathway. And we say, no, the common law obviates that. I think we'll probably win on that, but we'll see. So we have a hearing on this after when did we first file this lawsuit? We filed a lawsuit in February of 2021, so it's 2 years later. And the one judge just sat on it for forever, and then she got elevated to the appellate court, and now a new judge was just appointed for some additional briefing. And so we're going to be in court next week on this. So that was my long way of saying there's a court hearing next week on the January 6th videos and emails that the Judicial Watch has sued the U.S. Capitol Police for. And the thing that's disturbing to me personally, and it should be to you as a citizen, is that it's one thing for the Pelosi Congress to say they have sovereign immunity, pretend these aren't public records, pretend that there's no interest in releasing them. But it's another thing to have Speaker McCarthy effectively do that again in court. So the legal position hasn't changed with the change in leadership. So my question is, why is the House Republican leadership pursuing Nancy Pelosi's legal arguments in court against Judicial Watch by having the U.S. Capitol Police try to keep these records secret? As we noted in one of our briefs, in the courts of this country, including the federal courts, the common law bestows upon the public a right of access to public records and documents. The Supreme Court was unequivocal in stating that there is a federal common law right of access to inspect and copy public records and documents. The general rule is that all three branches of government, legislative, executive, and judicial, are subject to the common law right. The right of access is a precious common law right that predates the Constitution itself. The Court of Appeals for this circuit has recognized that openness in government has always been thought crucial to ensuring that the people remain in control of their government. Neither our elected nor our appointed representatives may abridge the free flow of information simply to protect their own activities from public scrutiny. An official policy of secrecy must be supported by some legitimate justification that serves the interests of the public office. So why is Speaker McCarthy's leadership team at the House agreeing with Nancy Pelosi that you don't have that right, dear citizen, dear patriot, to get these videos, see these emails? As I say in our statement, the U.S. Capitol Police continues to hide these key January 6 videos and emails from the American people. It is particularly frustrating that the new House Republican leadership that allowed the Capitol Police to continue to defend the secrecy, which was first pushed under the Pelosi Congress, in federal court. It's terrible. So the hearing is next Tuesday. I don't know how it's going to go. Is she going to rule from the bench? Is the court going to rule from the bench? Maybe. Or, typically I've been at enough of these hearings. As what happens is I go, and I'm president of Judicial Watch. I'm not an attorney. And so my colleagues, in this case, Michael Bekesha, who's the Judicial Watch attorney on this case, senior attorney, he'll be representing Judicial Watch in the hearing. And I plan to be present there representing Judicial Watch as the client. And so I've been at many of these types of hearings where you're arguing about whether a case should proceed or not. And typically here in the District of Columbia, the courts don't like to rule from the bench. You sometimes get a signal as to where they're going. But I suspect we'll get a feel for how the judge sees this case on Tuesday. It's unlikely we'll get a final resolution as to whether we get to proceed and try to get these documents on Tuesday. But it's a significant milestone in this case, in this 2-year effort to get the January 6 videos. So this is the worst day in American history, right? And we can't see any of the videos under law here without being part of this select group that gets invited by Speaker McCarthy in to see videos. And that's not the way it should work. And what about the emails? What about the emails? So something else you should do is call your member of Congress, especially in the House, and ask why it is Judicial Watch is being fought on this public disclosure and transparency on January 6th. Why? Why can't we see all the videos? Why aren't you putting them online? Now, are there videos that can be withheld or should be withheld because there's some super secret security issues that are shown on the video? Maybe. They don't even want to go there. They don't want to show us anything in a broad way. And certainly emails, same thing. Not one email can be released. Is that what they're telling us? Everything is so secretive? It's just outrageous. So call your members of Congress, your House members, 202-225, and ask them why it is the leadership of the House is opposing transparency on January 6th. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.